Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pacharane, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastachadya Satarane, Om Aganatamrandasya Ganangana Shalakaya, Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha. Vandeham Shri Rupa, Vandeham Shri Rupa, I forget. Vandeham Shri Gurum, Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha, Shri Gurun. I actually forget it. I'm getting old, sorry. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kantarada Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hiri Priye, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasandubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 16. Is it chapter 17? Is it? I prepared class for 16. That's okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. It says 16 here. Text 16. Oh, chapter 17. Okay. Rājño hi paramo dharma, sva-dharma-sthanupalanam, śāsato yathā-śāstram, anāpady utpathān rājño hi paramo dharma sva-dharma-sthanupalanam śāsato nyān yathā-śāstram anāpady utpathān iha rājño hi paramo dharma sva-dharma-sthanupalanam śāsato yathā-śāstram anāpady utpathāniha rājño hi paramo dharma. Any Mataji's? Don't be shy. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures. In ordinary times, when there is no emergency. Purport. In the scriptures there is mention of āpad-dharma, or occupational duty at times of extraordinary happenings. It is said that sometimes the great sage Viśvāmitra had to live on the flesh of dogs in some extraordinary dangerous position. In cases of emergency, one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description. But that does not mean that there should be regular slaughterhouses to feed the animal eaters, and that this system should be encouraged by the state. No one should try to live on flesh in ordinary times simply for the sake of the palate. If anyone does so, the king or the executive head should punish him for gross enjoyment. There are regular scriptural injunctions for different persons engaged in different occupational duties. And one who follows them is called sva-dharma-stha, or faithful in one's prescribed duties. In the Bhagavad Gita 1848, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. Such sva-dharma might be violated in cases of emergency if one is forced by circumstances, but they cannot be violated in ordinary times. The state executive head is to see that such sva-dharma is not changed by the follower, whatever it may be. And he should give all protection to the follower of sva-dharma. The violator is subject to punishment in terms of the Shastra. And the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follows his occupational duty as prescribed in the scriptures. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devam Gaudavani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastachadhisatanani Jai Gurudev. So here, the prescribed duties, āpad-dharma. This is prescribed for human beings by the system of varnashram that Krishna has created. So there are three modes of nature: sattvagun, rajagun, tamagun. So these three modes, the jiva bhara, the conditioned soul, is controlled by these three modes, by these three gunas. So, Hare Krishna, Dandavat. So when a human being is controlled by these three modes, if one is controlled by sattva gun, then he's a Brahmin. Truthfulness, cleanliness, like that. One who is influenced by the mode of rajagun, he's a Kshatriya. So it can be a king, or he can be a policeman, or so many different Kshatriya duties are required in human society. Then, combination of rajagun and tamagun, it creates the Vaishya. So the Vaishya, the Brahman, the Vaishya, his nature is set by the modes of nature that he is controlled by or influenced by. So then the Shudras, their function within society is service. So they serve the Vaishya, the Kshatriya and the Brahman. So the duty of the Brahman is to guide society. The Brahman is the head of the social body. So without a head, the body is useless without a head. It could be the arms, which are the Kshatriyas, the belly, which is the Vaishya, and the legs, which is the Shudra. But they're all useless without Brahman. So this is the condition we find ourselves now in modern society. The Brahmins basically have sold their soul for the dollar. The computer programmers and big professors and like that. Brahmins should be independent. They should be. If a Brahmin, in case of emergency, a Brahmin can act as a Kshatriya or Vaishya, but that's only in a case of emergency. Just like here, Prabhupada was saying that human beings can eat meat. Surprise of all surprises, eating meat. And Prabhupada said here that in emergency one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description. So, so these are times of emergency. So because we don't have Brahmins. Someone asked Prabhupada once, what he was doing. So he said that he is creating a Brahminical class within society. So Prabhupada wanted that. All devotees can't be Brahmins, because according to the modes of nature we are controlled by. Then we have a sva-dharma, we have a certain function within society. And if we fulfill that function within society in service to Krishna, then we can progress in our spiritual life. So unless one is a liberated soul, one is duty bound to follow one's sva-dharma. here it's said, in the Bhagavad Gita, this is in the Purport, Prabhupada saying, in the Bhagavad Gita, 1848, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. So that sloka in the Bhagavad Gita, 18:16, every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. So here Krishna is saying that, human beings, we're obligated to follow our sva-dharma. But this dharma is on the bodily concept of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is above the bodily concept of life. So those who are above the bodily concept of life, they're not obligated to follow varnashram. Like Prabhupada, he was grihasta, and then he took sannyas. So, but he's pure Vaishnava. So the pure Vaishnavas, they by their example, they show us, how we should conduct our lives, what we should do and what we shouldn't do. But because Prabhupada is a pure Vaishnava, he's not bound by that. But we are bound. So if we want to artificially jump onto some high platform, some renounced platform, then we're going to get into trouble. We'll become destroyed, actually. Like Sahajas, they jump on this artificial high platform. They even go so far as to dance with pretty young girls at midnight in the forest. So what happens to them? Huh? This is sinful activity. So they just go to hell. But even for devotees who have taken diksha, taken initiation, we have a responsibility to follow our sva-dharma in serving our Guru and Vaishnavas and Krishna. So, the varnashram has not really been understood. Because if we look at modern society, the problem is that the leaders of modern society, as Prabhupada calls them, are rascals. So why are they rascals? Why are the leaders of society rascals? Because they are not protecting the Brahmins, the cows, the women, the children, the old people. They're not giving protection. So they're demons. They are Asura. If we read in 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the qualities of Asura, they're so envious. The leaders of society, because they're demons, they have all the bad qualities of demons. They are so envious. We cannot, like ordinary people, cannot imagine the level of their envy and their lust and their greed. Because ordinary people, we are all burning with lust and anger, greed, envy, madness and illusion. But we have godly qualities at the same time. Like in Kali Yuga, the demon and the devotee take birth in the same body. In Satya Yuga, I think it was on different planets. In Treta Yuga, it was different countries. Satya Yuga, the same family. Kali Yuga, the same body. So, the demons. So the demons, they actually don't have good qualities. Now this is very hard for an ordinary person to understand. How a human being could not have any empathy. If we see anybody suffering, including an animal, we feel sorry for that. Our heart is affected by that. But the demon, when they see someone suffering, what do they feel? They become happy. Oh, someone's suffering. Oh, so good. This is better than Hollywood. And they get their popcorn, start eating and watching. Demons. See, as Vaishnavas, as envious people, we neglect envious people. We don't develop a relationship with envious people or with demons. You know, any relationship anyone has with a demon, they will lose. Their life will become destroyed. If we look in modern society, we can see demoniac influence. Like, for example, there are slaughterhouses all over the world. They are killing cows. You know, like I was in New Zealand in 1976, I think, for 1 year. And the local people were telling me there that in the 60s they introduced slaughterhouses. Before that, New Zealand was producing dairy products and exporting, like ghee and other things. And so when they introduced the slaughterhouses were as big as a big town. You know, that's ridiculous. As big as a big town. Anyway, the locals were telling me that from the time that the slaughterhouses were introduced, then the weather went haywire. The children went to drugs, illicit sex and unwanted pregnancies. The government became more difficult. The local Maoris became more militant. So many problems developed from that time when they introduced slaughterhouses. You know, in a society where the cows are not happy, not possible for the human beings to be happy. So, you know, I'm just giving you one example of demoniac influence in society, the slaughterhouse. You look at the divorce rate now. I think it's, in Australia anyway, it's 90% of people who are divorced. You know, they say 50% divorce rate. You know, but that's not counting people, that's counting marriages. You can never have more than the 50% divorce rate, because people get divorced and get remarried, then get divorced and get remarried. There's always basically the same amount of marriages. So you can never get more than 50% divorce rate. So that's very misleading by the media. And yeah, the media, that's another demoniac influence. I could go on. Do we have time? So cow protection is, you know, one of the prime duties of the leaders of society. So because the leaders of society, they're not protecting the cows, and not protecting anybody, in fact, and they become happy to see the sufferings of the citizens. Like a real king, he becomes happy to see the prosperity and the happiness of the citizens. But a demon? No. Demons become happy at the suffering of others. We should try to understand this, because demons are controlling the planet now. And you can see all these examples. They're killing, what is it, 500 billion animals, I think, in 1 year they kill. And people in the whole world are wondering, oh, why am I suffering? Oh, why the COVID? Why the lockdown? Why so many problems? They're all crying. People are crying. In Australia, you know, like I said, 90% of people are divorced. So, and 80%, I'm not discriminating here, but 80% of those divorces is the wife leaving the husband for a boyfriend. So, in my parents' generation, there was 3% divorce rate. 3%. So since the Second World War, the demoniac influences escalated. The more they centralize, the more influence they have and control over human beings. That's why they killed all the kings in the world. That's why they killed the Tsar of Russia. That's why they killed the king of Nepal. Because they want to introduce democracy and communism. The same people who introduced democracy in the world have introduced communism also. Because they want a centralized control over every country. And this is achieved through democracy and through communism. Nationality is one of their controlling agents. You know, we are not Indian, we are not Australian, we are Jivas. We are Krishna Das, Anudas, Anudas. This is Krishna's creation. Dividing this planet up into Australia and, oh, you need a visa to come here, or India, or you need a visa, or you need this and money and, you know. It's all nonsense. It's demon established control. If we analyze every aspect of our life, almost all of it is controlled by demons. Like, you know, there's this women's movement, you know, of equality. And Krishna here, he says in Bhagavad Gita, one should follow one's sva-dharma. If one is a Brahmin, one should be a Brahmin. If one is a woman, he should be a woman. They should be a woman. So Krishna has very clearly outlined the duties and the functions and the responsibilities of human beings within this planet. When you get a television or you get a computer, you get a manual, operating manual, and in that manual it is explained how to operate this thing. You know, what to do, what not to do. So the Vedic scriptures are our manual. And we and if we follow that manual, we can become happy, and then we can become Krishna conscious. So as I was saying, you know, if we examine every aspect of our life, there's this demoniac influence. When Prabhupada came to America, he was very much focused on Prahlad Maharaj's teachings, because those teachings of Prahlad Maharaj are so much applicable to us, because he was preaching to the demons. So who are we? What is our upbringing? What is our birth? What has been our activities? What is our consciousness? What are our desires? So Prabhupada wanted to create a revolution in the impious lives of the people. So we are very fortunate because we have that contact, we have that association. Oh my God, I'll never have enough time. I'm running out of time. Okay. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he met Ramananda Rai, then Ramananda Rai, he was asking Ramananda Rai about the process of bhakti, about how to attain the ultimate goal of life, which is Krishna Prem. So, wow. So, Oh yeah. So he's asking questions one after another. So Ramananda Ray, he began with Varnashram Dharma. So, you know, there's two types of Varnashram. There's Devi Varnashram and then there's ordinary Varnashram. Sanatana Dharma they call. But Devi Varnashram, Krishna is the center. So as we perform our sva-dharma within the Varnashram system, we do that in a service mood to Krishna. So that's Devi Varnashram. And here, Ramananda Ray, he's saying by performing that, then we can advance towards the ultimate goal, Krishna Prem. I'll just read here in the purport, Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. In the purport, Prabhupada has sort of summed up that conversation between Ramananda Ray and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Simply executing the duties of all varnas and ashramas, it is not as good as offering the results of one's activities to the Lord. Bhoktarang jagatapasam sarabaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam. Can't remember the last line. So all activities, if one does to Krishna, and one can do that through the Varnashram, through Devi Varnashram, then when he does that, then he can develop renunciation to the point where he can give up the social order, like like even above sannyas, but sannyas is one example of that. So, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, he's saying, yes, he said, that's good, but I want to hear some more. I want, he rejected, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never rejected Varnashram. He rejected that Varnashram was the highest goal of life. Varnashram is a stepping stone to achieve the highest goal of life. And we are duty bound to follow that. Some devotees say, oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he rejected Varnashram. However, and then, you know, Ramananda Ray is saying, however, better than the renounced order is cultivation of knowledge mixed with devotional service. So this is a jnana bhakti. So when one is developing, like Prahlad Maharaj, he's a jnani bhakti. So it's a very elevated stage to achieve that. But what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asking about? He's asking about Braj Prem. And later in the conversation, what he really wanted to know is Radharani. Who is Radharani? What is Radharani's Prem? And you know, so Ramananda Ray, for us, he's starting at the very beginning, at the bottom of the ladder of Krishna consciousness. So, but the problem with jnana is it's not pure bhakti. So there is no Yes. However, better than the renounced order is cultivation of knowledge mixed with devotional service. Yet all these activities are external to the activities of the spiritual world. So in Braj, no one is doing jnani bhakti because they all have prem, they have raga, they're all ragatmika bhaktas. They all have spontaneous love for Krishna. So we cannot find jnana bhakti in Braj. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's rejecting that as the goal of life. But he's accepting it as a stepping stone or a rung of the ladder. Devotional service by self-realization is a different subject matter. It is untouched by fruitive activity. For one surrenders the results of activities to the Lord, abandons prescribed duties, and accepts the renounced order of life. So they're the progressions. Such devotional service is situated on a higher platform than that of empiric philosophical speculation with a mixture of bhakti. This is verified by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anyābilāshitā shunyam jnana-karma-jnana-vritam anukulyena krishnānu shīlanam bhakti-rutama. So pure devotional service, pure bhakti, is performed continuously without a break. Just like honey, when honey is being poured from a jar, there is no break. It's a continuous stream. So when bhakti is performed continuously without any break, without any desire for without any desire for karma, jnana, or yoga, and it's done with a mood to give pleasure to Krishna. This is the definition that Rupa Goswami has given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as pure bhakti, as pure devotional service. This is what Prabhupada has come to give to us. He has come to give this thing. I mean, Prabhupada came and gave so many things. You know, Varnashram and book distribution and, you know, so many things. And all these things are the stepping stones, or they're the ladders to achieving, you know, Prabhupada's mercy. You know, tadvini pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninastatva-darshanaha. So when serving Guru, inquiring submissively in serving Guru, we get tattva darshan. Tattva darshan is Krishna. Tattva darshan is what our relationship is with Krishna. We could be a cowherd boy. No, we could be a manjari. We can be a tree. We can be a cow. We can be you know, a parent to Krishna. There's so many relationships which are inherent within the jiva. And so we're uncovering. The whole process of bhakti is to uncover that inherent relationship we have with Krishna. Okay, I'll ask for questions now. If there's no questions, I'll just continue. So is there any question? Yeah, Haribo. What? Oh, what is the basis? All right, look, you know, here in Mayapur, there is rice everywhere. And the local mangoes here are so delicious. Amazing mangoes. So what is there any need to eat meat? There's no need for eating meat. So when all the necessities of life are being fulfilled, you know, there's no need for an emergency. If you're going to die from starvation, there's nothing to eat except dog meat. In the case of Viśvāmitra Muni. Viśvāmitra Muni ate dog meat, you know. Chandala is the lowest of human beings. So, you know, in emergencies, right? So to ascertain an emergency, if you're going to die, and if you can save your life, or maybe even your health, if you can save your health from being destroyed forever, or save your life by breaking some principles, then that's an emergency. And there's no karma for that.
There's one pastime where Harikesh, Prabhu was Prabhupada's servant, and Prabhupada wanted him to go to Russia to preach. And Harikesh said, but Srila Prabhupada, in Russia all there is to eat is meat and potatoes. And then Prabhupada said, so eat meat, but preach. So I guess we could say that it was such an emergency that Prabhupada felt to push Krishna consciousness around the world.
Yeah.
That he was ready to make that adjustment on behalf of his disciple.
Yeah, because Prabhupada's vision was very broad for the world. He wanted to establish Varnashram worldwide so that everyone would have an opportunity to come. So what Prabhupada was doing was an emergency situation, you know.
Right.
And he was introducing Krishna conscious culture in a culture that was like, you know, as far away as you could imagine from Krishna conscious culture, from Vedic culture. And even Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj once, because he wanted to invite the British, some British rulers, you know, like top men, to come, you know, to discuss. And so the devotees were saying, oh, but you know, they need table and chairs, and they eat meat, you know. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, no problem, we will supply chairs, tables and meat. You just bring them here. So yeah, in emergencies, but you know, for us to make a decision like that, it really should be under anugatya. It should be under pure Vaishnava. You know, I mean, to save our life, eating a dog to save our life if we're going to starve, okay, we can do that. But, you know, when it comes to other things, I'd be a little wary of rushing in, you know. Like for me to say, okay, you know, bring the meat-eating rulers and we'll give them meat. I couldn't do that. But if a pure Vaishnava told me, yes, you do it, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you explain more like this occupational prescribed duty? Because when we see people come into this Krishna consciousness to become devotee, so they leave their job, they leave their occupation. So can you like little bit explain more when they should leave or when like they should continue? Like
Well, you know, even in the 70s, like, what's his name? That devotee, Prabhupada said he was a pure devotee. Our god brother, my god brother. He has a samadhi there at Jagannath Temple in Rajpur. Jayananda. He told Jayananda, you continue your work and give money to the temple. But some devotees said, no, you come to the temple, you know. So it's really an individual, you know, choice, and it really depends on one's guru. You know, like when Prabhupada was physically present, there was only one guru. There was no, you know, we didn't have to worry about anything else. Whatever Prabhupada said, you know, we accepted, was correct, was the absolute truth. So if Prabhupada told the devotee, oh, you continue working, or you get married, like for example, Prabhupada, once Prabhupada came to Melbourne, and he was giving class, and he finished class, and he's sitting on the Vyasa-san. This was not in Dang Street. This was in what was it? That suburb in Melbourne, King's Cross. So we had a temple in there in King's Cross, and this is before we got the big temple in Dang Street, Radhaballabha. So he finished the class, and there was, you know, I don't know, 50, 60, maybe more devotees there. And he turned to the GBC, Madhudvisa, and he said to Madhudvisa, he said, these boys and girls should get married. So, you know, the Guru can give instruction according to the disciples' sva-dharma, according to the disciples' development of Krishna consciousness, then the Guru will give instruction. But as far as varnashram dharma goes, we don't see that. It hasn't been established. I mean, if you read Prabhupada's books, it's full. Prabhupada has given the ABC to X, Y, Z of varnashram. Everything that we need to know to establish varnashram is there in Prabhupada's books. So, but it hasn't been done. You know, you need, like, for varnashram, you need Brahmins. There are qualified devotees, qualified Brahmin devotees within ISKCON. I won't get political here. But they're not directing the society. They are not organizing the society. You know? There's other people organizing the society. So as long as the Brahmins cannot function as a head of society, we cannot establish varnashram. You know? I mean, this is a very controversial subject. But we need the Kshatriyas who will give protection. You know, they need to know martial arts. They need to know politics. Like Chanaka Pandit, he has written a book called Artha-śāstra. He wrote Niti-śāstra and Artha-śāstra. So Artha-śāstra is dealing all with the society, how varnashram should be implemented, how it should function, everything. And within there, he said the percentage of humans who were Brahmins, I think he said something like 3%. So they're rare. You know, the Shudras are what? Was it 60%? 60 or 70%? So Brahmanas are rare. And also, for a society, for a varnashram society to function, the Brahmanas have to be taken care of. The way parents take care of a child or their family, you know. Brahmins are like members of the family. A real Brahmin, he has no other function except to enlighten society and to give direction to society by his knowledge and by his realizations. Previously, Brahmins mostly were Brahman realized. And even in the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was his name? Oh, God. My memory's going. Huh? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. You know, he was Brahman realized. So Brahmins generally were Brahman realized. And they were so powerful. They could curse or bless anybody. And we see here in India today, you know, they're still following that. Whenever they see a sadhu or a brahmana, they're asking, please give blessings. Because it's in the culture here, you know. So, I mean, the blessings that Indians want is power, wealth, fame, good wife, good husband, BMW, 10-story house. Yeah, so they're asking for those blessings. And you know, mostly devotees, Krishna says, no, I've got to stop now. Oh no, actually I got another 5 minutes. Okay, huh? Huh? 6. Counting. What was that? Oh, good. Okay. Another question, huh?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My query is that how one can understand what is his or her sva-dharma, occupational duty.
Sorry, can you speak slowly? The Indian accent is a little difficult for me to...
How one can understand his or her sva-dharma, occupational duty. How one can choose that properly.
Okay, one way is astrologically. You can very easily see the sva-dharma of a person from their horoscope, you know. you know, if Jupiter is very powerful, and you have what do you call it? A demigod, a nakshatra, and there's so many different influences that can determine whether one is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra. Another way is by the natural inclination of the person. If a person is inclined to study and to be truthful, he's a Brahman, you know. If someone is inclined into martial arts and controlling or getting into a advantageous position and manipulating like that, you know, that's Kshatriya. If someone's always thinking about money, getting money, you know, can't sleep at night because he's thinking about money, that's a Vaishya. And, you know, a Sudra just wants to have sex and drink intoxication, you know, as much as he can, and do the least amount of work that he can, then there's Sudra. Yes? Did I answer the question?
I don't remember the exact reference, but Prabhupada said we could understand our sva-dharma by it's something that we're good at and that we enjoy doing. Those 2 points. The other thing, when I joined the movement, there was an instruction that I think went out all over the world, the ISKCON world, is that he wanted devotees in temples to do what the temple president asked them to do. It was kind of like that's how we figured out what we were supposed to do. And now it's more like you got to do what you want to do kind of thing. You know, it doesn't have the same kind of...
Yeah, well, that was an emergency situation that Prabhupada was in, you know.
Right, because they couldn't get direct instructions from Prabhupada. You know, it wasn't possible once the movement got to a certain level of development.
Yeah.
And so that's what I learned to do, you know, as a brahmachari for many years. Whatever I was asked to do, I did it. And then I got, anyway, I won't go into the details, but then it became very risky, you know, from my standpoint. The movement wasn't so strong. And I guess then I did some āpad-dharma and decided now I'm going to do what I feel is the best thing to do. You know, that took place. But now I'm seeing, you know, like Bhakti Vasudeva Swami gave class, and after the class he was saying how he just does what his spiritual master asked him to do, the spiritual master Bhakti Tirtha Swami. And if you look at the purport to 11.5, well, look, there's 2 verses, 18, 57 and 58. And there's a very strong emphasis on that we're fully protected by Krishna if we do what our spiritual master asks us to do. So that's, you know, if we can line up in that way, that's got tremendous power, you know, for us to advance in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. What's the time?
3 minutes to go.
Oh, okay. Yes, I was going to tell us a quick story. What was it? Anyway. Okay. Yeah, so Prabhupada, you know, like, just like Ramananda Rai, he's giving different levels or different steps of the ladder towards Krishna Prem. So similarly, a guru, just as like what you were saying, a guru, he will give instructions to a disciple. He will give instructions to a disciple, you know, according to his development and according to his psychophysical situation and condition. He will give instruction to a disciple. This is personal instruction. So we cannot take personal instruction that Guru gives to a disciple and then make this general instruction. Because there is a difference between personal instruction and general instruction. And I see this happen sometimes, you know, that someone will take a personal instruction and just make it, you know, applicable to one at all times and places. So that's a mistake. And so what Prabhupada did, you know, when he first began ISKCON, he started at the very basic. He wasn't even accepting worship from his disciples as a guru. he was waiting in line for the bathroom, you know. So Prabhupada understood, you know, what level we were on, and then from there he gradually took us up and up and up, you know. But we should understand what Prabhupada was giving was Krishna Prem. That's because, you know, Prabhupada is a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's a follower of Rupa Goswami. So that's the highest thing. So Prabhupada was taking us in different steps towards that ultimate goal. But from an ideological point of view, regardless of what level we're on, we should understand what the ideal is, and we should understand what Prabhupada came to give. Hang on, I just got to finish this. And so, when, you know, Rupa Goswami, here's Rupa Manjari. And we are Rupa Nugas, we are coming in line from Rupa Manjari. So, what does that mean? You know? Rupa Manjari, he is giving Manjari Prem. He's giving that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed him to give that. Like other branches of the Chaitanya tree, you won't find Manjari Prem. You'll find Gopi Prem. But from Rupa Goswami, Manjari Prem is being given. So, and Manjari Prem is the highest. Like when Radha and Krishna are in the kunjas, you know, in Vrindavan, in the dead of night, and they're doing their intimate pastimes, no one can enter there. The cowherd boys cannot enter. Mother Yasoda cannot enter. Even the gopis cannot enter at that time. But the Manjaris, they enter. They can enter. And they can assist Radha and Krishna in their intimate pastimes. There's so much intimacy we can't imagine. I won't go into that. But, so this is what Prabhupada came to give, because he is Rupanuga. So he has come to give. The highest thing is Manjari Prem. Like that song we sing, you know, Nikunja Yuno, Ratikeli Siddhe, Yali Yali Bir Yukti Apiksaniya. That the Guru, he is making tasteful arrangements for Radha and Krishna in the kunjas. So who is Prabhupada? Who is the acharyas in our sampradaya? They are manjaris. Because if they are not manjaris, how can they enter at that time when Radha and Krishna are there? Hare Krishna. Is that you? So, yes. So I just want to, the highest ladder, I just got to, just one really quick story. In Vilasap Vilasap, what's it? That scripture written by Raghunath Das Goswami. Huh? What? Sorry, I'm not hearing that. Kusap, huh? Vilasap kun something. I can't remember. Yeah, by Raghunath Das Goswami. Yes, thank you. So anyway, in there, you know, Radharani, she tries to make a meeting between the Manjaris and Krishna. And she tells the manjaris, oh, you should meet Krishna, and she's glorifying Krishna and how they should have that meeting. So sometimes by trickery, Radharani will organize a meeting between a manjari and Krishna. And then the manjari, it says to Krishna, says, please excuse me. I cannot directly be involved with you in a relationship because my Swamini Radhika, I am her servant. And from her whatever bhavs, whatever she is experiencing in her relationship with you is coming into my heart directly. And if I have a relationship with you, I will miss out on that. So what she's saying, that a direct relationship with Krishna is a lower level than Manjari Bhav. This is what Prabhupada came to give. The highest thing is higher than Gopi Bhav, Gopi Prem, Manjari Prem. So, but that doesn't mean that our spiritual relationship with Krishna will be a Manjari. It can be a flower, a creeper. It can be a ghee lamp. It can be anything. Anyway, I better stop the class. I've already gone over. Please excuse any offences, Prabhus. And anything you got good from me is coming from Prabhupada. Anything bad is from my anathas. So please excuse me. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhishya kripasunabhya bhachapati dhanapavane